Ever since Bakugan first popped onto the scene in 2007, I've nursed a quiet obsession with the franchise that baffles even my therapist. The toys are cool, of course. Little marbles that turn into action figures when placed on a magnet is a sick concept, but that shouldn't be anything to stay awake at night thinking about. Yet I have spent lonely nights staring out my window thinking of Bakugan. And not only about the toys, but the card game, the show, and of course the video games. The first generation of Bakugan has 4 licensed games, and one is actually good. Bakugan Battle Brawlers. Straightforward title, but this series has never been good at naming things. In the reboot, the main characters are called the Awesome Ones. Makes you really believe the characters are 12. Battle Brawlers is the first and greatest entry in the franchise, but even with my fixation, I've never managed to beat the game, and so it's high time I boot up my Wii U and spend 15 hours on a kid's game from the housing crisis era. The game instantly blasts you with butt rock. 3D anime AMV of elemental nonsense, monsters, and energy beam attacks. Every trope at once. I have a card and just got bingo. Now that the game has you at peak excitement, exposition. It's important stuff though. Cards fell from the sky and in them are Bakugan, and when people use them to battle the little toy become big monster epic style. Now these battles are ranked by an online community of kids, something that never goes wrong. Before we get to play though, it's time to make a 12-year-old boy. Even though half the show's cast are girls, you're locked in. My guess is they did this to save on voice acting budget, but it's just lame to have a custom character be so limited. Girls like Bakugan. Some of them even talk about it on the internet. After making your child, the game puts you in another cutscene. We're in Bakugan Hell, aka the Doom Dimension, where Bakugan go to be turned into stone and rot forever, like an office job. We see a glowing orb suck up other smaller orbs from the ground, and then the orb turns into a dragon and flies away. Foreshadowing is a literary device, and cut to Earth and a couple bullies are picking on you for being a Bakugan noob, just as they're about to keep trash talking cause this game is rated E10 and they can't do much else. Dan steps in. He's the main character of the show, leader of the Battle Brawlers, and he wears goggles with fingerless gloves. The coolest guy ever. The big bully challenges you to a brawl in the first arena, which is modeled after a real toy. Dan personally teaches you the rules of the game for the tutorial, which is good cause most fans of Bakugan didn't know how to read. The rules, at least. You and your opponent place cards on the field for the Bakugan to roll onto. When 2 Bakugan land on the same card, it flips over and the Bakugan fight to see who has big number. You can also play ability cards which make your number bigger. Win 3 gate cards and you win the battle. The bones are simple. If you count Bakugan as part of a deck, this is the first TCG to have a deck size of 9. Despite that, each gate card has different stat boosts and effects, which asks the players to please think. You beat the weakest character in Bakugan canon, which makes Dan impressed. You respond, "Yeah, but I'll never be as cool as you and Drago." And Dan says, "Yeah." Drago is Dan's Bakugan Guardian, a special Bakugan that can talk. Don't ask why only some of them can talk, because the show doesn't know and trying to explain it makes things worse. My headcanon is they're shy. Guardian Bakugan are usually way stronger, so without one you're stuck. Dan decides to head out and calls me his buddy. After that, you go to the Bakugan store to buy some Bakugan, don't think about it too hard, and you meet Alice. She's one of the Battle Brawlers, which is the name of Dan's group Discord. Since you're a fan, you recognize her from the internet. This made me want to find a hole and crawl there. Meeting someone and being like, "Ooh, it's you from the internet," is something I never want to do ever again. In the context of a fan meetup, sure, but Alice is at her job, dude. She explains how to earn cash through battles, and you head to the park to beat up people for money. As you walk back, a mysterious light appears in the sky, out of which a Bakugan falls. It pops open and starts talking about defeating everyone who stands in his way. You're okay with this weird vibe because a talking Bakugan showed up 5 minutes after you asked. This is Leonitis, and from now on, he's your partner. There's a few more tutorials, but first the park opens up as the place to rematch NPCs from the story. Once their level is high enough, beating them unlocks that NPC's guardian in the store. The bullies, Shuji and Akira, don't have guardians, but I beat them anyway to send a message.
You're gonna get pounded, kid.
Don't say that. Next is the first tournament. Before it starts, Leonitis talks about how he's going to crush every opponent with no mercy. You tell him that's a weird thing to say and he grumbles. You beat up Shuji for the third time that day, and then Runo and Marucho show up. They're both battle brawlers and ranked in the top 20. You wipe the floor with them and take the tournament. Dan catches up with you after to celebrate, but Marucho butts in and says that Leonitis is suspicious. Sounds like loser talk, but he's right in saying that Leo didn't come at the same time as the other Bakugan through Dr. Michael's portal. Who's Dr. Michael? A scientist from Moscow, Russia who built a machine that opened a portal to Vestroia, the dimension where Bakugan live. This put him in contact with Naga, the most evil Bakugan of all time, which is just bad luck for Mike. Naga uses Dr. Michael to gain access to the Silent Core, one of the two cores powering Vestroia. He absorbs it and destabilizes the whole dimension, making the Bakugan fall to Earth in the form of a trading card game and highly marketable toys. But Leo showed up after all that happened, which is weird. Marucho says Leonitis has a weird vibe and is probably evil, and then Runo shows up and says the same thing, which cope harder. Dan backs you up though and invites you to be his partner in the tag team tournament. The Dan Kuso. Don't look up his last name in Japanese. The tag team tournament happens in the Aquas arena, which means Aquas Bakugan have an advantage. It's also got unique hazards and paths like a fun water slide on the side you can ride to get power-ups. My playstyle centered on being as boring as possible, so I ignored the water slide. Also didn't use Aquas Bakugan even though this is the Aquas tournament. Aquas is water, by the way, if you're not looking at the screen. I know how most people watch these. The tournament goes by quick with a few new NPCs showing up, like Jules and Jenny, two guardianless goons who are here because the game was made before the show had more interesting characters. After you and Dan win, he tells you about the next tournament, a Battle Royale. You meet him in the park to do the Battle Royale tutorial, which is admittedly trickier because NPCs can battle each other, which means one can win by ignoring you and turning on its brethren. Right after this tutorial though, Dan tweets that he and Drago just got beat by someone using dirty tactics. Mysterious. You head over to the arena for the Battle Royale tournament, but before it starts, Julie, one of the battle brawlers, accuses you and Leonitis of being the jerks who beat Dan up. Bruno and Marucho back her up because Dan didn't say who beat him, which makes it really look like he was subtweeting you. You deny this and swear that Leonitis isn't evil. He's just really passionate about violence. Julie tells you to watch your back in the tournament, which, yeah, it's a tournament. The arena this time is Subterra. There's flowing sand on the floor that pushes you into pits, giant statues that punch the ground, and a half pipe with some power-ups. This tournament takes a while, mostly because each brawl has an extra 2 NPCs to deal with. Some will be hyper-aggressive and fight as soon as they can, and others will take up space and wait for fights to come to them. Choose the wrong battle and you'll be out of your strongest Bakugan, which can quickly snowball into a loss. It's usually best to play defensive, but in a Royale, every fight you don't take is one an NPC can win, so I had to adjust and just massacre them as quickly as possible. I don't know why everyone thinks I'm evil. Right after you win the tournament, a devious-looking child appears. This is Marduk, the guy who actually beat up Dan with dirty tactics. I don't know what that means. Bakugan battles don't have a referee or anything. The rules are enforced by cosmic law. Did he, like, pepper spray Dan? No one said he couldn't. He's the top-ranked brawler, and his goal is to defeat all other Bakugan, along with his partner, Vladitor. Vladitor is the darkest Bakugan who was sealed in the Doom Dimension for being too evil and powerful, and was freed by the whole Russian scientist ex-evil albino dragon debacle. Vladitor and Leonitis have an intense conversation, where they look like this.
Army needs a general, Leonitis. Join me, and together we will beat all Bakugan!
Vladitor, I'm in a generous mood. I don't know who you are, but things will get ugly if you don't get out of my sight now!
Most amusing!
That's really good, dude. Marduk gets mad, battles you, loses, and is like, oh, I was just warming up. I wasn't even trying. I was blindfolded and my little brother was playing. Seethe, get trolled. Vladitor reveals that Leonitis is from the Doom Dimension, which makes him the Bakugan equivalent of Satan. And then Vladitor and Marduk teleport away. You and Leo talk about it, and Leo says that while he was born of hatred and darkness, being friends with you has changed him. You just say that he's your friend and you'll always be partners. Leo's at a loss for words. And I just think this is cute. Next up is the Ventus tournament, where yet another battle brawler, this time Shun, shows up and tells you Leo is evil and is gonna team up with Vladitor since they're both from the Doom Dimension. Dude, not everyone from the Doom Dimension knows each other. The Ventus arena has an air slide with power-ups, the whole floor floats around a little bit, and there are tornadoes that throw you off the map. The arenas have moved from fun water slides to natural disasters. After you win, Shun says that, yeah, Leonitis probably isn't evil, but if he ever is, Shun will have to step in. Then Masquerade shows up and laughs at Shun for losing. Masquerade is the main villain for the first act of the show, and is also ranked the top brawler. He uses a special Darkest Bakugan, and his goal is to defeat all other Bakugan to grow more powerful. He's also working with Naga and Halji, a man who's green for an amazing reason. You'll notice that Marduk copied Masquerade's homework. Because the game is trying to stay as faithful to the show as possible, the plot can't change any pre-existing characters or they won't match up with the show's story. You really can't have a Bakugan game without Masquerade though, so he's just here to make fun of people. I actually tried to figure out exactly when the game's plot happens in the show, and because all of the brawlers Bakugan evolve off screen, it means that the game takes place in the middle of the arc where all the brawlers are sent to hell to fight their inner demons. What a rough week. Masquerade isn't just here to make fun of Shun, as good of a reason that is. You and Masquerade battle, and while Masquerade offers Leonitis a spot on the bad guys team, Leonitis just asks why he would pick second best. Oh, we're buddies. Masquerade runs back to Naga and Halji, where Vladitor is also chilling. Everyone there offers Vladitor the Silent Core in exchange for him defeating the Battle Brawlers, which Vladitor accepts, on the condition that afterward, he'll kill Naga. Naga thinks this is really funny. It's time for the Pyrus tournament. Dan catches up to see how things are going with his new best buddy. That's me! Dan brings up how much you know about the Battle Brawlers, and you say you've been following them on the internet forever. After you say that, Dan says if you beat him in the tournament, he'll add you to the group chat. You're gonna be a Battle Brawler. Making the player a self-insert is such a good choice. The entire voice cast from the show is here, so it really feels like you're interacting with them. Most licensed games have you play as the main character, which makes sense for something like Dragon Ball, but in Bakugan, the fantasy has always been being so good at the cool thing that everyone respects you and wants to be your friend. That's why you have to earn the trust of the other Battle Brawlers through the tournaments. The player character is super boring, but their bland goodness lets their influence radiate out and help other characters to change, like Leonitis. It's the exact kind of fantasy the shows and toys promised. Back to the tournament, the Pyrus Arena has the most OSHA violations yet. There's lava on the ground, geysers that shoot you into the air, and a secret path to interact with the statue per usual. The lava is especially annoying since it's placed right next to the gate cards, but at this point I had Laser Man and Reaper, two of the strongest Bakugan in the game. I stuck to my defensive strategy and doubled down with a card that deletes the opponent's battle item. Those are busted, by the way. They can make a 400G lead evaporate like that during the minigames. I guess I haven't explained those yet. Once both players are finished playing ability cards, the last step of a battle is a minigame. The more inputs you perform correctly in a row, the more G power you'll gain, which means the player can use them to catch up and win a battle. There's one where you shoot symbols of your Bakugan's attribute, one where you time inputs like a rhythm game, and one where you definitely don't jerk off your Bakugan. They even tell you when to stop or change direction. The sensors for this are touchy. It's really sensitive. The minigames have always felt like the weakest part of the battle system to me, but without them, battles would just be throwing, playing cards, and watching the attack animations. Most of a brawl is decided before it starts. A lot depends on your deck. With the minigames, there's enough of a G-power swing that you have to stay on your toes, or standing at least. My Bakugan don't like it if I sit during the shaking minigame. The Pirates tournament is light work, and Dan loses even though he's on home turf. With that, Dan officially makes you a battle brawler, and I wish the world could be this sincere. But of course, Marduk and Masquerade show up, but instead of actually fighting, they just say you're gonna lose to them in the next tournament. At this point, they're acting like pro wrestlers. All of the battle brawlers gather for a meeting, which includes you. Marucho read Marduk's backstory on the wiki and decides to tell it to you now. Marduk became obsessed with winning, which made everyone hate him, to the point where his best friend betrayed him and sent all his Bakugan to the Doom Dimension. Now he wants revenge, just like Vladitor. It's a lame backstory. Marduk becomes evil before he ever gets betrayed, and his motivations don't make sense. It's almost like he's copying another much more interesting character. You point out Marduk probably likes Bakugan if he's about to compete in a sanctioned tournament, which, yeah, fair point. Since you're the only one who's been able to beat Vladitor, the Battle Brawlers say it's up to you to take them down. Shun's still skeptical, but Drago speaks for the first time in the game to have a heart-to-heart with Leonitis.
Drago, I was born in the Doom Dimension, and until I came here, I hated all Bakugan. Even so, you trust me?
Regardless of the past, you've proven you're on our side. That is reason enough to trust you.
That's just beautiful, man. Going into this tournament, the fate of all Bakugan and maybe the world is at stake. The final tournament is in the Chaos Arena, which puts me at a disadvantage as an All-Darkus user. The main gimmick is the roaring statues that you could be spit out of. They also add a ghosting effect to the screen. Throwing Bakugan is easier than the previous two arenas, but the elemental disadvantage was severe enough that I ended up switching to a Darkus Ventus Subterra trio with Gorm and Skyrus, two of the Battle Brawlers' Guardian Bakugan. Don't ask me how I got them. With them, the tournament was easy, especially since the last two fights were against Masquerade and Marduk, who only use Darkus. These are the top two brawlers in the world? What, is everyone on the leaderboard a 12-year-old? Anyways, we win the tournament and wait, we just beat Masquerade and Marduk, yeah? Game's over? Well, no, everyone except Dan is a sore loser. Halgi shows up to tell Vladitor the deal is off, but he brings the Silent Core with him for some reason. So Vladitor just kind of takes it. This evolves him into Battle Axe Vladitor and changes the arena to Darkus, the last element remaining. The arena is surrounded by Doom Dimension hyperspace, which means all the Bakugan are drained of power, except Leonitis. He was born in it. The Battle Brawlers concentrate their energy on Leonitis, and he evolves into Omega Leonitis, an even spikier version of himself. The game pops some special rules on you here. The final battle is a 1v1. You can only use Leonitis. If you don't have the right ability or gate cards, or if you didn't sync all of your upgrades on Leo into G-Power, sorry, you're gonna have to quit out to before you won the tournament to get back to the shop and redo everything, which I did do. I may be stupid. After losing a few times, changing my deck, and still struggling, I got frustrated and threw Leo randomly. Then this happened. Hey, that gave me exactly as much G-Power as I needed, and it put me perfectly on the gate card. It's almost like they designed it that way on purpose. After taking the third gate card, Leonitis and Vladitor stand opposed, felled by their wounds. Vladitor is incredulous, but Leo says he was only able to win with the help of his teammates. With that, both Bakugan fade into the starlight, leaving you and Marduk behind.
Vladitor, you can't! You can't just leave me here!
Vladitor may have been evil, but at least he had pride. Quit crying and stand up like a man.
You don't understand!
I know you really love Bakugan. Okay, so you lost your partner, but you're still here. Hang in there and you can play again. When you're up to it, challenge me to a Bakugan battle. Who knows, you might even win.
Stop crying about your best friend being dead. Stand up like a man and play toys with me. The Battle Brawlers comfort you and everyone goes home. Just as you're starting to process he's really gone, a heavenly light rains down again. Leo is alive. In Vladitor's last moments, he had a change of heart and gave his life force to Leo. Just for fun, I guess. You swear to never be apart from Leonitis again as your partners for life.
Bakugan Brawl!
Love wins. The ending is so dumb, but in a way that makes me go, The one-on-one fight, the fake-out death, the complete lack of sympathy for Marduk, which, yeah, deserved, and the instantaneous redemption and befriending. It's like a battle show written by a battle show written by a battle show. Peak distilled trope. There's a bit more game to squeeze out after the story, though. Marduk and Masquerade are added to the park, and their guardian Bakugan become unlockable in the shop. The final area is also unlocked, which is just a recreation of the blank void from the show. Tournaments are now randomly generated, being set in an arena with 5 random brawlers. You'll need to complete more than 5, but probably less than 8 of these in order to get enough cash to buy everything in the game. Now that you're number 1, you get to do Bakugan as your job. Yay! Overall, I'm wildly impressed with how faithful the game is to the show and toys. The game system is super unique, and that was carried over from both. Layering the wonderful animations and models of each Bakugan in both forms just elevates the whole thing. Plus, the story being set as a filler arc of the show lets it get as close as possible to the world and characters while still offering a unique experience with both. I've never played a licensed game that understood and delivered on its source material's appeal as much as this one. Sadly, future games and seasons of the show slowly shed what made it great, as the show stopped having real Bakugan battles and the toys became overwhelmed with gimmicks. But for that first season, Bakugan was the best to ever do it. Show, toys, and games all blending into a single experience. It's the definition of lightning in a bottle. Future seasons couldn't replicate it, rip-offs didn't even come close, the parent company's intended sequel flopped, even Bakugan's main inspirations don't create such a cohesive experience. There might not be anything like Bakugan Battle Brawlers ever again, until I release my spiritual successor in 5 years. By the way, I just reopened my Patreon and you can join for free. There is still a paid tier if you want it, but it's just $1 a month. I just want to make a place to really show gratitude for all the people who watch my videos, and also one of the biggest reasons I haven't been posting is money. So even though the economy is totally sideways, if you could spare $1 a month, that would help a lot. There's a link in the description, and I hope to see you over there. Okay, bye.